Hello there and welcome to another video by Dan the Gaming Man. This time we're looking at the top 10 essential Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis if you prefer, games that everyone needs to play or even own. One of my fondest childhood memories is from Christmas 1993 when I received a Sega Mega Drive from Father Christmas. I'm sure most people watching can recall how they felt when they played their favourite games on the system. And what I want to do today is share some of my favourite games. Perhaps you missed them and would like to check them out for yourselves. More likely, you just want a hit of nostalgia. Either way, if you go on to enjoy the video, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. But before we look at my countdown, I just want to say it wasn't easy to narrow down the list of what is around 1,000 games which were released for the system between 1988 and 1997 to just 10 games. So I do want to include a few honourable mentions.
Rise from your grave.
First up, Altered Beast. This one was released in 1988 as the pack-in game when the Mega Drive launched in North America and Europe. It isn't the greatest game by any stretch, but it has an intriguing concept, and if you've never played it, you need to. It's part of Sega gaming history. Ghouls N Ghosts is notoriously difficult to complete, but I remember playing this one at a friend's house back in the 90s. It has a great soundtrack, and there is something fun about running around in your underpants, as you will probably end up doing almost constantly, trying to survive this sequel to the legendary Ghosts and Goblins game. Ecco the Dolphin is a game I have a soft spot for. It was released back in 1992, and it was one that I always wanted to play when I was a kid. Now I have as an adult, and I've got to say it is a lot of fun. It was pretty unique at the time it came out, but there have been a few clones of this game in recent years, such as Hungry Shark. I also want to give a mention to Street Fighter II. So whichever version of this game you have played or you plan to play, it's an incredible game, particularly in 2-player. This one has been included in a few collections and has been ported onto just about every console under the sun. So if you've not played this one, do yourself a favour and rectify that. One game that has a special place in my heart is Fodder. It was one of the first games that I ever rented from a rental store. Remember those? I love the art style, and to this day it remains one of my all-time favourite games. Sadly, it didn't quite make the cut for my top 10 Sega Mega Drive games though. And now to my last honourable mention. This one is called Wiz N Liz. It's probably the least known game in this video, but I urge everyone to give it a try. It's great fun, especially in co-op. You can play as Wiz or Liz, and you have to brew potions with fruit that you've collected. You also need to collect wabbits. Hours of fun.
Test 1, 2. Sega.
Number 10 is Comix Zone. I remember playing this at a friend's house and I loved the art style back then, and I still feel it holds up today. You play as an artist who's sucked into his own comic book. You move from panel to panel, fighting the bad guys and solving puzzles with the help of your pet rat. It's been included in some versions of the Mega Drive or Genesis collection that's available on various systems, so this one is easy enough to find if it appeals to you. I will have an affiliate link to the Mega Drive collection in the description below. For number 9, I've gone with 1992's Desert Strike. There were a few of these on the system. This is the original, but it was followed by Jungle Strike and Urban Strike on the Mega Drive, and to be fair, you could play any of them. I'm most familiar with Desert Strike, so that's the one that makes my list. It's a fairly strategic game, as you are rarely overwhelmed by enemies, so it involves putting some thought into your missions that often require you to destroy an enemy base or save hostages. It was quite controversial at the time of its release, as it was seen by some as trying to capitalise on the Gulf War, which happened around the same time. Despite that, it was a huge commercial success for Electronic Arts. Disney had some great games on the system, particularly the ones published by Virgin Interactive such as Aladdin and The Lion King. But my favourite Disney game is World of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. There was also Castle of Illusion on the system, but I preferred this one. I prefer the graphics, and of course the nostalgia comes from having owned this one as a kid. It's good fun in single player, or with a friend or sibling in co-op, though you do have to argue as to who will have to play as Donald Duck. And now we are at number 7, which is another controversial game by Electronic Arts. This one was released in 1992 and it's called Rash II. It's the sequel to Road Rash, as you might have guessed. The game involves driving your motorcycle, or should that be riding your motorcycle, over an array of locations across the United States, including Hawaii, Arizona, Tennessee and Alaska. Sounds easy enough? But what made this racer fun was the violent addition of needing to bash your opponents over the head with a chain or a baseball bat as you tried to secure a top 3 finish in order to progress to the next race. Great fun in 2-player mode as well. My favourite animation was after you got knocked off from your bike, you need to run back and find it. Number 6 is another personal favourite, and arguably the most bizarre game ever made. Earthworm Jim. You play as an earthworm, called Jim. You have a spacesuit, and you have to use your wormy body as a weapon. What more do you need? You have to navigate the vibrant levels and launch a cow. If you're still not sold, then I have nothing else to say. Okay. This one is also included in the Sega Mega Drive Mini, so I'll pop an Amazon affiliate link to that in the video's description if you want to pick one up. Golden Axe is from 1989, and this is another game that all Sega fans need to play at some point. It has a Conan the Barbarian feel to it. It's a side-scrolling hack and slash adventure that's available, along with its 2 sequels, on the various Mega Drive collections. This game allows players to assume the role of a broadsword-wielding barbarian, an Amazon warrior equipped with a long sword, or my personal favourite, an axe-swinging dwarf. Make sure you kick those little guys and get yourself some potions. Sports fans probably wondered if I'd forgotten about them, but we have a footy game. Sensible Soccer is possibly the most enjoyable football, or soccer if you like, game that has ever been released. On the Mega Drive we had Kickoff, there were several FIFA games as well on the system, but this is my essential pick. Developed by Sensible Software from the UK, who brought us Cannon Fodder, this is just good fun. It features international teams and club sides. Although it isn't licensed, it did include an editor, so you could change the names of your favourite players easily enough. It also had custom teams, so you could add yourself and your mates. What more could you want? This one's actually recently been included in the Codemasters collection released on Evercade, so if you've got one of those, make sure you check it out. We mentioned Street Fighter II earlier in the video, but the ultimate fighting game on the Mega Drive, for me anyway, is Midway's Mortal Kombat 2. It was perhaps not as controversial as its predecessor, but this game improved on the gameplay and expanded the lore of the franchise, building on the original. 12 playable characters make for hours of fun, especially against a friend in multiplayer. I have to say I did find it quite hard to pick it up again when I played it recently to capture footage for this video, but I'm sure after a few hours I'd be fine. Who doesn't love a fatality? Some might have expected a Sonic game to take the top spot, but for me, there is one game better. That said, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is my pick for the second spot. The first game was great, and 3 was pretty cool, but for me, my heart belongs to Sonic 2. This was the first game I ever owned, and I sunk a ridiculous amount of hours into this one. I loved Tails as a kid, though I did get a lot of mileage out of leaving him for dust as the titular hero. Something about him having to use his helicopter-like tails to catch up just cracked me up every time. There were some fun boss battles in this one too, if you're into that sort of thing. I'd say that this is an essential Mega Drive game that belongs on everybody's top 10 list. And we finally arrived at number 1. How many people saw this one coming? I'd say this is still one of the greatest games ever released. Streets of Rage 2. Again, another sequel. Just like Road Rash, Mortal Kombat and Sonic, the second game improved on the one that came before it. And what we have here is near perfection. This game still stands up to this day, and I for one revisit it every couple of years. You can finish the game in one sitting, and you have 4 characters to choose from: Axel, Blaze, Max, and my favourite, Skate. Streets of Rage 4, which came out a couple of years back, is highly recommended too, if you haven't given it a chance yet. Well, that's my top 10 essential games on Sega Mega Drive. What did I miss? Let me know in the comments below. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. I've got lots more videos on the way. I'd also like to say thanks to those who've already done so. Don't forget I've included an Amazon affiliate link to the collections and the Sega Mega Drive Mini in the description below if you're interested in picking up any of those. Stay safe and keep gaming.